This is True Crime Undercover. I'm your host, A-Train, and I want to introduce to you the most toxically masculine specimen in America, Super E.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. What a wonderful crowd we have out here, isn't it, A-Train?
It's a good crowd. It's a very good crowd. We got a live audience here of about, I don't know, there's probably 10,000 people here.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we're on the Gutfeld show.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you're Cat Temp.
Oh, I love Cat Temp.
I do too. Oh, I do too.
Wow. Yes, exactly.
I love Cat Temp. I love Emily Campagno. I love all of them.
Yes. Every one of them, yes.
And Tyrus.
Yes, and Tyrus, because he'll beat us up.
He will. He'll kill us. So, how are you on this fine day?
It's kind of rainy and dreary, but I'm doing okay. I'm excited about talking about one of our new episodes, doing a new episode.
I'm excited too, and I guarantee you our thousands and thousands of listeners are also excited.
Yes, and we're both wearing tinfoil hats. We're delusional.
We are delusional.
Yes.
Oh, well, you know what? Let's just jump right into it.
All right. Well, today I'm going to talk about a couple of people that I almost forgot about, but they were a very hilarious, interesting chapter in my career in the very early 90s. It was one of my first CI duos.
I'm sorry.
Boyfriend and girlfriend.
CI what?
Duo, D-O-U-S.
Oh, duos. Okay.
A couple of, confidential informants, helps with investigations.
Uh-huh.
And how it worked out was I was working the far east side of the hot dog stand, way out on East Washington Street, Irvington.
Uh-huh.
And I see this young woman I never saw before. And she sees me. I just wave at her, and she waves at me, and I just pull over at the next street, and she comes running up, gets in my car, and she was just the sweetest woman, you could ever meet. And I'm like, okay, there's something's not right with this. And she just goes on to tell me that, I'm doing this because I got hooked on crack. And so, I'm hooked on crack. I would never do this, but the crack makes you do things.
Right.
And it was like she was from Mayberry.
Okay.
Thelma Lou, Helen, and her name was Jenny, but they called her White Jenny. So Thelma Lou, Helen, and White Jenny.
Okay.
From Mayberry. And she's like, I'd be awful grateful if you'd let me give you head, and I'd much appreciate if you gave me like $20. It'd be so helpful. And I was like, okay, this way I can get some food and more crack. And I was like, all right. So then the badge comes out, and she's like, she starts crying. That's terrifying. She was from out of town. She's from Dayton, Ohio.
She traveled all the way from Dayton to...
Yeah, but I think they had... you'll know why in a minute.
Okay.
They had to get out of town quick.
Okay.
Well, then she points out her boyfriend. Well, that's my boyfriend. He's the guy who got me on it. I was like, okay. He tries to watch for me. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, let's go let him know that, he's not going to see you for a while. And I don't want him to think you've been murdered. So I go, what's his name? She goes, his name's Black Kenny. I go, okay, can I just call him Kenny? She goes, no, you got to call him Black Kenny. And I'm White Jenny. I'm like, okay. So I pull up to him, and I said, hey. I said, I'm a policeman. White Jenny's she's got to go to jail for prostitution. She should be out in probably about 10 hours or so. She's not been abducted, okay? Uh-huh. And he was very, very nice, subdued, well-mannered.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets out the next day, and I told her, I said, listen, you can work off these charges by helping us out with any drug dealers or anything. So the next day, they both show up to it was the South District. They show up to the, what do you call it? Not precinct, well, district.
Yeah.
So I go up there, and I start talking. She goes, I want to cooperate, but I don't think I could do as good job. But Black Kenny would do a great job. And he goes, yes, Detective Super 8, I think I would be much better at this than White Jenny because I just think it's something I need to do and I don't want her to get hurt because I know this is dangerous. I said, no problem, man. And I was like, okay, this guy, he just seems very mild-mannered. And so I pick him up and we're going to go out on, we're looking at some houses that we got calls on, but we had no information on. So we're going to go out and look at him. So this guy's talking to me and he explains to me that Black Kenny said, Tech Super 8, I'm a minister. I said, what? He goes, I'm an ordained minister. I said, right, kind of a weird dichotomy, crackhead minister.
Absolutely.
And then he starts preaching to me.
Okay.
He's like, a house divided cannot stand. I was like, yeah, I've heard that. And he goes, a man could choose his own path, but with God's help, he chooses the righteous path. And I go, oh my God, this guy is so insightful and deep. He's like having Morgan Freeman sitting right here.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, so he was saying all these things, and I was like, yeah, he's right. 2 seconds later, he rolls down his passenger window, sticks his head out, yells, hey, you fucking bitch, shake that fat ass. And I was, Morgan Freeman?
Wait a minute.
Yes, you're God. You're not supposed to talk like this. And I said, I think there's two sides to Black Kenny here.
Uh-huh.
So we decided we got a call at this one house where crack was being sold out of it, and it was a woman's house. They didn't know if she was selling, but there was some guy had moved in, and the neighbors thought this dude was shady.
Okay.
So me and Black Kenny were like, hey, man, let's go up there. And he was like, man, that's cool. Again, real mild-mannered. We start walking up to her house. The woman kind of opens the door and is holding the storm door and goes, yeah, what's up, fellas? And here's what he said. He goes, hey, bitch. Me and Indian Ray are coming in. You got a problem with that? No, I don't. And I was like, holy shit. And she looks at me. She goes, oh, Indian Ray. Are you Indian? What tribe are you from? And I'm just going with it. And I said, well, I'm a Beach Grove Iroquois. She goes, where are your people from? I go, we're from the land of the deer and the beaver and South Emerson Avenue where the eagle soars over 465. She goes, oh, Indian Ray, you're so interesting. Will you come back? I sure will. And he's in there like, and then, me and her talking, he's like, come on, bitch. Well, who's got the dope? And she goes, oh, let me go get it for you. He keeps it over here. So she sells us some rock. He goes, give it to my will man, Indian Ray. I don't want to be caught with it. I've already got a case. So I hand her the money. She hands it to me. Uh-huh. He was smart.
Right.
And I'm always learning from the informants because they do this every day.
Yeah.
And then he tells her, he goes, my man will be back to get some more.
Man.
She goes, yes, sir. So I go back, make a couple more buys, and we ended up doing a search warrant. And me and the prosecutor, I believe, we went easy on her because she was kind of a victim too.
Okay.
Some dude moves in, gets her hooked on it,
mm-hmm.
and so basically she went to rehab.
Okay. And
didn't have to, but we cleaned that all up. And then we had another one where some guy. They said the citizens, it was on your old district, East District, when you worked narcotics on that area.
Uh-huh.
And this guy was supposed to be just selling so much dope in the neighborhood, and the neighbors were so pissed off. And he had hookers running in and out of there. So me and I pick up Black Kenny and White Jenny. I pick them up, and Jenny is madder than fuck.
Okay.
And she's in the back seat, and she keeps yelling at poor old Black Kenny, and she's using all kinds of very unflattering names. I go, what is wrong with you, Jenny? Why are you so mad at Black Kenny? She goes, well, Detective Super, just smell his balls and tell me what they smell like. And Kenny looks at me, and I go, I'm not going to smell his balls. Well, if you did, you would know they smelled like Old Spice. And the only time his balls smell like Old Spice is when he gets a blowjob. And guess what? I have not given him a blowjob in weeks. So I know this son of a bitch is out getting a blowjob by some other bitch. And so she's steaming mad at him. I said, Jenny, you got to keep calm because we're watching this house where we're getting ready to do a search. And I just want you guys to make sure that the guy is still there. So what I'm going to have you do is, Jenny, I just want you to go up and say that, is he going to be there in a little while later? Because you might have some money. Just make sure he's there.
Okay.
And she goes, yeah, I can do that. And I said, now the guys aren't going to be here for another half hour, but I'm going to keep watching the house. And they said, well, Detective Super Ree, can we go get something to eat at the village pantry? That was in our town. That was the little convenience store chain.
Right.
I said, yeah. I said, you guys got any money? They go, yeah, we got 37 cents. Well, I said, here, let me give you a couple of dollars so you can get something to eat. They go, you can hold on to your money. I think we can make this 37 cent stretch.
You insulted them.
Yeah. 5 minutes later, they come back, armloads of sodas and hot dogs, chips, salsa. I go, how did you get all that food from the village pantry at 37 cents? You don't want to know. I said, I don't think I did. And so, anyways, White Jenny, she goes, knocks on the suspect's door. He says, yeah, I'll be here all night. So boom, we know he's in there. And so we had the East District. They were helping us with a search warrant. And they had a guy on the squad at the time, you remember him, big, tall Jim.
Yes.
Used to work late shift, yes.
Yeah.
Tall, lanky guy, super intense.
Uh-huh.
Man, we kick in that door and we rush in there. And the dude was on top of some girl having sex with her furiously. He sees us, jumps up, stark naked, runs into the bathroom, shuts the door and locks the door. Remember, these are older houses, so the locks were pretty strong, and somebody tried to kick it, and they couldn't kick it in. Jim, man, he was kind of like, he had a short fuse. He runs over and bashes the door with his two hands. He just kind of pushed it like a solar plex shot.
Yeah.
The top of the door just breaks in half.
What?
He leaps, he dives through it. I'm like, and then unlocks it. And so they grab the guy and they go, he's stark naked and checking the barn door, checking the barn. So, okay, listeners, barn door meant they spread butt cheeks and they looked up something.
Yeah.
And they go, I ain't got any dope here. Well, the guy, God was very generous to him.
Okay.
Extremely. Things were hanging way down. I mean, his reproductive part was so long, you felt like you wanted to hand it peanuts. Oh, here, would you like some peanuts? Extra long elephant trunk.
Handed some peanuts.
Yeah. So, but and then somebody, I think it was a female detective, it might have been Roxy, goes, wait a minute. She lifted up his giant ball sack, and he had an 8-ball. Oh, no, he had, 2 8-balls was what, a quad or something like that? My math is terrible. But he had that duct taped under his testicles.
What?
Yes.
Okay,
and
wait.
We're like, holy shit.
Wait a minute. Did that while he was in the bathroom?
No, he had that on the whole time.
While he was having sex?
Yeah, he was like, man, I don't want these bitches to know I keep my shit. They steal from me.
Oh, my God.
After we said, sir, we must install these handcuffs on you and this crown because you're now our king.
You're our king.
But, yeah.
So, oh, my God.
So, he goes off to jail, and Black Kenny and White Jenny, they would get some money for their great work. We got drugs and conviction, and it cleared up a complaint because the guy moves out of the neighborhood, and everybody's happy.
So they sounded like pretty good informants.
They were, and especially Black Kenny. But on a sadder note, this was right before they left. I see White Jenny walking down the street. I could see she was kind of battered. looked like she had. I said, Kenny didn't do this to you. She goes, no, it's that one-eyed motherfucker. And I go, who? That one-eyed Lester. And she said, she described him as a real big fat guy, and one of his eyes didn't have a pupil or nothing. It was just white.
Ugh.
And I said, I remember that motherfucker because I'd seen, I think I stopped and questioned him a few years earlier. And he would, that since his one eye didn't work, he'd be looking at you with a cocked eye. You know how like a chicken's looking up at the sky for hawks? That's the way he'd look at you. And the reason I remembered him is because we had to work that Klan rally that was at the government building.
Uh-huh.
And, I was in an undercover capacity, and I was standing out mixed in with a bunch of the, could these be rednecks that are pro-Klan? We don't know. So I'll mingle in with them. And then I got tapped on the shoulder. The first time I ever saw this dude, I look around and I see this giant hillbilly Shrek with one eye missing. And all I could do was I went, yeah! And I could just focus on the eye like Elaine did the goiter.
It's my goiter.
Yeah. He's like, are you looking at my bad eye? No, I wish I had a bad eye. and he goes, the rally's about ready to start. Come on, everybody, let's go. So I remembered that son of a bitch. I said, I think I know who you're talking about. What he did was she jumped in the car with him, and then he started, he didn't want to pay her. He started berating her. He started slapping her around, and then he threw her down some concrete steps. You know how that goes down to a basement in the building?
Oh, man.
And I said, do you want to report this? She goes, Detective Super 8, nobody gives a shit about me. I'm out here on the street. Nobody cares. And these guys know that. So I'm not going. So I thought, that son of a bitch. So I waited a few days, and then I see this dumbass walking down the street. I made a point. I said, hey, I didn't even tell him who I was. I just said, I know why, Jenny. I know what you did to her. If I ever see that done to you, I'm coming after you, dude. You're going to end up in the hospital. You got to give him the big bluff. I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
So everybody right now who's clutching their pearls and wringing their hands, no, you just got to put the bluff in him. You got to instill fear in him. So hopefully he decided not to do this to anybody else.
Exactly.
It was a preemptive strike.
Right.
So I gave him the big warning, and he goes, okay, man, no problem. It was an accident. Oh, yeah, it was an accident. You pick her up, throw her down the steps.
What a jerk.
Yeah, and it was they told me they were just very nice people. They had unbelievable massive crack problem.
Right.
But they told me, hey, we're heading back to Dayton. And Kenny's like, yeah, we're heading back. Jenny told me that this is Kenny's plan. He's so excited because his son is now selling crack, and so they'll be having it going on.
Oh my God. Okay. So can I ask? I'm going to clarify a couple things if I can.
All right.
So they insisted on you calling them White Jenny and Black Kenny.
Yeah.
You just wanted to call them Jenny and Kenny. But she was like, oh, no. You have to call him Black Kenny.
Yeah, he's Black Kenny, I'm White Jenny.
God.
That's what we're known as.
God. You're like, okay, if that's what you want to be known as.
Yes, I want to clarify this before Human Resources hears about this.
And I want to clarify another thing. So you were working undercover at the Klan rally. You were
undercover, everybody.
You were infiltrating to make sure these idiots were not going to do something stupid, right?
Yes, and we condemn the Klan.
I just wanted to get that on record because I had to do that too. You go in there,
wild, wasn't it?
You go in there. We have the uniform. Folks there, but then as undercover folks, sometimes they'd insert us into, rallies. Like I remember I was an anarchist once, I infiltrated the anarchists. So you get in there and you just keep an eye to make sure these guys are not going to do something stupid. And
and make sure that they don't have guns or something.
Exactly. Right.
Now we were down at the government building, and the government building was part of it was like a gold building that looked like all windows. Mm-hmm. And the state police, they actually did something cool for once. They were inside that building, and they put all the possible agitators, or the people that were being agitators and acting up.
Right.
They were all next to that building, and you could watch as a guy was starting to act like an asshole and threatening people or threatening the police. One of them glass windows was actually a door. It would open up. All of a sudden, you'd see a hand come out, and then yank him in. It'd be disappeared. And his friends would look around. Where'd Rooster go? He's gone.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it
was hilarious.
Yeah, one of the few cool things state police do. Anyway, yes, you know what? I think we need to get back to a little bit more proactive riot control /
right.
It's getting out of hand, Super E.
Don't want people hurt. Don't want people hurt.
It's just nuts.
Don't want buildings, don't want property damage, don't want people hurt.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, that's a whole other episode right there.
Yeah,
we'll talk about.
Yes.
But yeah, so one other thing, very cool of you to, obviously Jenny sounded like a nice person who got hooked on that crack and was doing bad things. But just like 1,000 other times, you used her prostitution arrest to further a bigger drug cases. And
yes. And I learned several things.
Yeah.
From Kenny.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I hope they prospered when they went back to Dayton.
I hope so.
The pastor and his son, the drug selling duo.
I hope they didn't open up the Church of Crack like they opened up the Church of Weed in our town.
Oh God! You can't make this stuff up, Super E.
You can't. Well, hey, Trainer, let's finish this one out.
All right. Well, that was a fantastic tale, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know I did. All right.
Take care.
We're out. See ya.
Bye.